part of our today's program. Our next speaker is Haley Carcala of Qualicum Beach. She moved here from Hinton 7 years ago and lives at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy. Any inspiration there? She's always had a passion to write, and she's apparently kept a daily journal for 10 years and writes a blog called Haley Space. And as you can see, she's got some big changes in her near future. Her and her husband Rob are expecting their first baby in March. And Haley is the author of The Memory Shop, which the three of us chose as the most outstanding story, and consequently named the book after. It's difficult. I mean, everybody that's had anything to do with anything artistic knows that kind of subjective judgment is pretty hard to pin down sometimes. I mean, all of the stories in our book are real jewels, and we actually had to discard quite a few that were amazing too, just because we limited ourselves to 10 at the beginning. We could have got carried away. But anyway, for each of us, this story, the three of us that did the selections, this had a huge impact, and it was all in our personal top 3 picks. So it's an enchanting, intriguing, really emotional story. So congratulations for Rain. We like to give you a little diaper money.
Oh. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, so my inspiration for the story, The Memory Shop, came from a couple of things. First of all, my husband Rob, he's raised in an Italian family, big family, and he was raised by his mom and dad, and also by his grandparents, his Nono and his Mona, and they had a lot to do with his upbringing. And so my main character is Anne Maple, and she is a little girl that has a very special place in her heart for her grandmother. And the second part of the story is that her grandmother has had a very wild and exciting life, and she starts to lose her memory, as elderly people do. And I work in the medicine shop in Qualicum, and you see that every day, and it's and I'm extremely emotional because I'm pregnant, so hold on. So you see it every day. I've worked there for about 3 or 4 years, and you get your favorite people, and every day you see them slowly losing some of their memories. So anyway, this story is about a little girl and her grandmother. And I have to find the page because I didn't bring my own copy of the story. And then 2. 43. Oh, and I also wanted to thank my mom. She came and she bought the painting that was part of the story, and so we were going to put that in the baby's room. So thank you, Mom. Okay, The Memory Shop. Anne Maple lives with her mom, dad, and Grandma Wanda. Her grandma is Anne's favorite person in the entire world because of the exciting stories she used to tell Anne growing up. Lately, Anne's Grandma Wanda hasn't been telling her stories because she hasn't been remembering them. At bedtime, Grandma Wanda would sit in a creaky wooden chair by Anne's window, look out into the night sky, and begin telling Anne one of her infamous stories. She had 5 brothers. Her family was part of a daring trapeze act in a traveling circus. She was the smallest of the group, so she was the one being tossed back and forth to her brother's trusting arms. She also played baseball in the ladies' league during the war. All husbands, fathers, and brothers were sent away, and the women had to take on the roles as farmers, factory workers, and even in sports, to play baseball. Grandma Wanda had been telling Anne tales from her life for years. Tonight, like so many before, Grandma Wanda did not come into her room to sit in her creaky chair. She did not look out Anne's window and say, "You may choose not to believe this story because it is so extraordinary, but take it from me, I was there." Anne's parents used to sit outside Anne's bedroom and listen to Grandma Wanda's stories. They seemed interested in her past. Lately, it seemed like they didn't believe or care anymore. Anne remembers her parents walking hand in hand to the park every night. They hadn't gone for walks, and Grandma Wanda had been forgetting things. "Mom, why don't you and Dad go for walks anymore?" Anne asks as she crawls into her bed, tucking her comforter in around her. "Oh, I don't know. We just don't seem to have the time anymore. Grandma needs more help than she used to, darling," Anne's mom answers, kissing her goodnight. She turns up the light and closes Anne's door. Anne wakes suddenly. A red light flashes against her closet doors from outside. She hops out of her bed and tiptoes to the window. It looks like the light is coming from down the street. Anne slips into a pair of jeans and throws a sweater over her head. She creeps down the hall, past her snoring parents in one room and a heavy-breathing Grandma Wanda in another. It doesn't take long for Anne to reach the source of the light on her bike. 2 blocks past her house, she sees a light coming from a sign posted above a deserted building. It reads, "The Memory Shop," in neon red letters. When Anne reads the words from the sign, it stops flashing and switches off. She drops her bike at the bottom of the steps to the door. After one big, nervous gulp, she slowly makes her way up the stairs. The bells attached to the door chime, and she steps in from the crisp night. A lady with a wild head full of red curls pops out from behind the counter. "Welcome! I knew someone would follow the sign's light tonight," the lady with the red curls exclaims. "What is this place? I thought this was an abandoned building," Anne manages to say, mesmerized by the hundreds of glass bottles lined up along the shelves all around the room. The bottles were all corked, like bottles of wine. The bottles themselves were ordinary. It was what was inside that interested Anne. She couldn't quite make out the contents from a few feet away. It was almost like colored smoke, swirling inside. Each bottle contained a different color of smoke, and in some bottles, the smoke was thrashing around violently, and in others, it was very still. Anne approached one bottle in particular. She was standing so close that her nose was touching the bottle, and her blue eyes were eagerly peeking over her black-rimmed glasses. "My name's Gloria, and this is the Memory Shop. It is only here to those who truly need to see it." The red-haired lady introduces herself and glides over to where Anne is standing. "I'm Anne. What's inside the bottles?" Anne asks as she shakes Gloria's outstretched, jeweled hand. "These," Gloria begins, plucking the bottle from Anne's grasp, "are memories, all of them. Each and every bottle contains a memory from the past. Pick a person, get a memory. It's that simple." Gloria's gold-flowing skirt twists and twirls as she selects the bottle from each shelf. "That's wonderful. I'm going to bring my family here tomorrow." Anne begins dancing around the room, overjoyed with her discovery. "It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. I'm a traveling memory shop. I don't stay in one place for more than a day. Tomorrow this will be an abandoned building again. Tonight you can only choose the bottles that you can carry with you." I'll leave it at that.
Speaker, Cindy Mall, is an incredibly talented self-taught artist who has a studio at North here in Palliser. She has an amazing sense of color and an eye for design. She did the painting for the Memory Shop. She gives classes and private lessons out of her studio in Palliser. She's also an award-winning member of the FCA, the Federation of Canadian Artists, and has sold exhibitions and been in lots of jury shows here on the island and in Vancouver. So, Cindy, would like to come up and talk about her paintings.
Cindy also absolutely terrified.
Don't be terrified.
Oh, I am terrified. And emotional. I was thinking it's kind of therapy.
I keep talking in front of people too.
Here, but then I was thinking, I spent most of my life stomping around the house going, no one listens to me. And then I'm kind of good with that.
Okay, so I'm just going to read it. I thought I was going to do this, I'm terrified. And then she started reading the story, and I'm like, oh my God. You don't have to be pregnant to be emotional. So, okay, I'm just going to read, and then I can look here and not out there. So, thank you. This has been quite an experience, and thank you for your story. It was like, yeah, as soon as I read it, I went, wow. So, anyways, when I first read over the stories, I must admit that I read very quickly. You guys stole my story at the beginning up here because I read them so quickly that I felt bad that I'd done that, but now I find out everybody else did. I just kind of wanted to get the essence of the story and not get caught up in too much in the story. So yeah, I read them very quickly just to get the essence. So the Memory Shop spoke to me immediately, and my most emotions were triggered by the story. Obviously, yes, they were. I have a little granddaughter, so it was just kind of like it hit home with me. So right away I saw bottles. I saw the bottles right away, and I had this idea of how I was going to do them, and I was told, we're going abstract. Well, I'm not an abstract painter, so then the panic set in. So I had one painting I started, and I was collaging and trying to figure out this mess I'd made, and that was gone. So I had to start another. And what I did was I tapped into my 12-year-old self, 11-year-old self, when we used to do the big balloon letters that overlapped and groovy and cool and things like this. And so I thought, okay, I can tap into that energy. So I went there, and then I put on my artist hat, figured out the design and the whole bit. And then I also had to go into the future, and I had to decide what would I want in my bottles if I was to lose money. Oh my God! Yes. Anyways, which is what I did. I put that inside there, and yeah, I had to go in between past, present, and future during this whole thing. So, and thank you so much for purchasing the painting, and that is so exciting. So, and that's all.